Well, the head of the UN's food aid program says the war in Ukraine could fuel a food crisis impacting 125 million people globally. David Beasley says half of the grain purchased by the World Food Program comes from right here in Ukraine, and that the war is disrupting growers' efforts to produce crops. Earlier, I spoke with members of the agricultural community here in Ukraine about their view of the crisis. Take a look. On this farm in western Ukraine, and many like it across this country, the future of food security for hundreds of millions of people around the world is being determined. 1/3 of the world's most fertile soil is in Ukraine, according to the UN. So what doesn't grow here, or what this country is unable to export because of the war, local officials tell me will cause ripple effects around the globe. The repercussions of the war in Ukraine began to impact everything, Volodymyr Romaniak tells me, including all agricultural operations inside and outside the country, including the sowing season. Western Ukraine, where this farm is located, accounts for a relatively small portion of total wheat and corn farmland. The most productive farms lie in the hottest conflict areas of the country, like Izium in eastern Ukraine. Satellite photos show the extent of the destruction in and around that city. In one video, Russian artillery positions and Ukrainian counterattacks are visible in a field. And the Ukrainian agriculture minister tells me the impact on this year's crops will be devastating.
Last season, we have approximately totally 110 million tons. This year, we expect at least 30% less than this amount. It's це дуже обнадійливий прогноз. Because we understand that the war is continue and nobody knows what will be tomorrow.
And so far this year, the minister says the country has lost almost $9 billion in agricultural revenue. Wheat is usually planted around March and harvested in the summer. But we are told on this farm near Lviv that most farmers in the conflict zone are writing this year off completely, because it's simply too dangerous to work the land. This is already impacting food prices for everyone, but most acutely for people in vulnerable countries. In 2020, 80% of Lebanon's wheat imports came from Ukraine alone, 40% of Libya's, 30% of Egypt's wheat came from Ukraine last year, and now bakery prices there are jumping as high as 25%. On top of climate change and rising inequality, the Russian invasion will deepen poverty and increase instability thousands of miles from where missiles and shells are causing devastation. Back on the farm outside Lviv, we meet Pavlo Kovalchuk, who manages the fields and the other crops that grow here, like apple, plum, and walnut trees. Are you ready for the longer term? If this war lasts a long time, are you ready to dig in and keep working?
We have to be ready, because we have no other choice. I and all other farmers who work with me here are ready because we are responsible for providing food, not only for Ukraine, but for other countries.
Beyond production issues, there is also a shortage of workers. Some have joined the fight against the Russian army. Others have moved to safer areas or left the country altogether. A sector that employs hundreds of thousands in Ukraine, hollowing out as the war grinds on. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe. And so a war on this country is also an attack on all those who depend on it for food.